The Blues needed this, man. The Blues needed this win. Final score at the Tottenham Hotspur Stadium. Tottenham Hotspur 0, Chelsea 1. And like I said, the Blues, aka Chelsea, they needed this win. After that loss against Sunderland and the way they lost as well, you know, that dagger in the end, Chelsea needed this win, I'm not going to lie. And I think Chelsea will be very happy to be back in the mix, especially when it comes to the race for top four, because up there, it looks like it's very, very entertaining, and at the same time it's very, very tight, you know, because I think loads of teams have like 17 points, so it's very tight at the top, you know, when it comes to race for top four. But I think when it comes to Chelsea, there's only one player to highlight, and I think that's Moises Caicedo. First and foremost, I want to say Chelsea managed to score a goal which was not scored by a defender, not scored by one of their midfielders, but it was actually a forward. Because remember last time I told you guys there was an issue with Chelsea scoring goals, and specifically forwards scoring goals. So the fact that Joao Pedro managed to get on the score sheet, I guess, is a good thing. But like I said, there's only one man to talk about, and that's Moises Caicedo. And I think I have to join Enzo Maresca when he said that in the world right now, well, not right now, but in the world, the two best defensive midfielders are Moises Caicedo and Rodri. Right now, because of Rodri's form, I would put Moises Caicedo ahead of him because he's absolutely fantastic going forward, tracking back, in terms of keeping possession, in terms of remaining calm on the ball, in terms of winning balls back for his teammates and recycling the ball very, very easily and very quickly. You just have to look at the goal that Chelsea scored. It all starts with Moises Caicedo winning the ball back once, winning it back twice, and then obviously Joao Pedro scoring the goal. But it all starts with the high press of Moises Caicedo. His relentlessness to never let go. His relentlessness to be annoying, because that's the only way I can describe Moises Caicedo. If I was a midfielder, which I wasn't when I was playing back in the day, I would have hated to play against someone like Caicedo because he's annoying. He will chase you until you give away that ball. That's how annoying he is. I can only imagine what it feels like to be a midfielder and have this guy chase you all game long. What a fantastic performance, man. And honestly, I know Moises Caicedo signed a monster deal at Chelsea when he signed for them. But listen, if you want to keep him at the club, you're going to have to make him sign another one of those monster deals, because the big boys, knock, 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 they're watching and they will definitely be making calls and knocking on the door. Hence why I make the sound. But yeah, Moises Caicedo has been absolutely fantastic. Apart from that, I think overall Chelsea just had a solid performance. It looked like a routine performance even against Spurs. Which brings me to my next point, to my next points, I should say, because this should not have been a routine performance from Chelsea against Tottenham. Because remember, this was seen as a big game. Well, at least to me, this was seen as a massive, massive game, and I expected this to explode. I expected to see lots of goals. Now, we've only seen one, so, you know, it is what it is. But I actually expected to see a lot of goals in this fixture. Why we didn't see more? I'm about to explain why. I'm not the biggest guy on stats, and you guys know this, right? But I think I have to read out these stats. Let's just go through them. Throughout the whole game, Spurs had 3 total shots. Guess how many of those shots were on target? 1. 0 big chances created, which of course means 0 big chances missed. And I'm sorry, but for a game of the magnitude of Tottenham against Chelsea, that is absolutely atrocious. That's unacceptable. Again, I'm not the biggest guy on stats, but when you have 0.05 XG at home against Chelsea, there's a problem. I'm going to start off with Thomas Frank, and I'm a fan of Thomas Frank. I think he's done an incredible job with Brentford, bringing them up to the Premier League, keeping them in the Premier League, competing against the likes of Man United, beating them 4-0, beating other teams along the way, etc., etc., playing a very attractive and very interesting and entertaining brand of football. He said it himself. His brand of football depends on the side that he plays, and he adapts himself. And he's been able to do that with Brentford. I'm not seeing any of that at Tottenham because it's pretty much the same every single game. And quick inside info, I went to watch the game. For those who follow me on Instagram, you saw me go to the Hill Dickinson Stadium when they played against Everton. Now, Everton lost 3-0. Spurs scored those 3 goals away from home. 2 of them were from set pieces. One of them was a nice goal from Sarr when he came on. And I spoke to some of the players after the game. I spoke to Idris Gay and I spoke to Kevin Danso. Kevin Danso said something very interesting, and he said, when the game is tight, set pieces can help you win games, right? But it's very strange to me that looking at the game today, it wasn't the tightest of games, right? But it was just so poor. If set pieces are the only way you're going to score goals against oppositions, you're in trouble. Because it's not every game that you're going to have an infinite amount of chances to be converted into set pieces for you to then score. Like, you have to create something on the pitch. It was just a mix of no creativity, no efficiency, no real identity even. And again, this is no disrespect to Thomas Frank, but it's pretty much the same every single game. You look at the way they conceded the goal. Very, very silly. Trying to play out from the back. Mickey van der Ven gets caught on the ball. First warning. They lose it again. Then they concede the goal because Jed Spence tried to do a Cruyff turn on Caicedo, who, again, like I said, he's the most annoying player. When he doesn't win that ball back, he's going to be on you the whole time. And to lose the ball in that fashion and to then concede, I mean, I just don't understand. And speaking of Van der Ven and Jed Spence, at the end of the game, I don't know if you guys saw the footage, but the footage is out there. Mickey van der Ven and Jed Spence not even having eye contact with Thomas Frank and just walking off the pitch. Thomas Frank reaching out to Jed Spence to, give him a high five. Doesn't even touch him. And I'm just like, hold on a minute. It's because of your mistake and Van der Ven's mistake that you lost the game today. On top of the no creativity, no efficiency, no real identity. So I really fail to understand why they were the ones to walk off the pitch. I spoke about creativity, right? And when it comes to creativity, you have to touch on Xavi Simons. Now, I have to hold my hands up because when he was announced that he was going to sign for Spurs, and ironically, Chelsea were after him first. When he signed for Spurs, I was like, yup, Spurs understood the assignment. Because I was already thinking about the combinations that I was going to see between Xavi Simons and Brennan Johnson and Kudus and Richarlison, all of that stuff. None of it has come to fruition. None of it. Xavi Simons, I'm sorry, but it's been 10 games now, if I'm not wrong. We have to talk about him. Simple balls, not being able to control it. Overhitting passes, miscontrolling balls. It's bouncing off his shin sometimes. Spending a lot of time on the floor. I mean, yes, you're not the strongest player. I get it. And you're up against very physical specimen in the Premier League. But come on. This is Xavi Simons we're talking about. But then again, I've always said that I'm a fan of Xavi Simons, but I don't rate him as highly as other people do. With all due respect, he's been at Barcelona, he's been at PSG, but there was always that little thing that was missing whenever I watch him. And I think the first time I really watched him consistently was last year during the Euros. And I kept watching him with Holland and I kept going, something's missing, but I don't quite know what it is. Now I do. This might be very premature for me to say this, but I think the Premier League might just be a step too high for him because the club brought him in for a big fee and the transfer, I remember, was done very quickly. It was wrapped up in a matter of hours. But the crazy thing is, with all this madness and with this atrocious performance that Spurs put in against Chelsea, they're still fourth. They are fourth in the Premier League. Now, remember what I said at the start. It's a madness from like second all the way down to sixth. I think there's like 5 teams on 17 points. And guess who Spurs are playing next? Manchester United. So this is going to be a very strange battle. I'm not going to lie. Now, Spurs, do not get it twisted. Lose that game at home next week against Manchester United. All hell's going to break loose. Despite Spurs still being at the top or towards the top. Because I'll tell you what, them boos that I heard at the end of the game, that was speaking volumes. That was the fans telling the manager and the players they're not happy with what they're seeing. And you know what? I can't even blame them. Because, like I said, just last week, they were celebrating a 3-0 win against Everton. Convincing win. And now they're having to watch this. I understand them. I fully understand them. But listen, let me know what you think in the comment section below, guys. Like, share, comment, subscribe. I appreciate you guys always rocking with the content. You guys know on this channel, we talk about every and any team. Couple of shows coming midweek as well. I've got a show coming with Brian. I'm trying to revive a show with Flawless, and I'm trying to get a show sorted out with Saeed. So that's 3 shows that you can get on top of the content in the week or during the week. And yeah, like I said, I appreciate you lot's support. It's road to 20k, closing in on 19. So make sure you like, share, comment, subscribe. Put the notification bell on as well if you want to not miss any and everything I've got going on in terms of posting. And yeah, guys, I shall see you very, very soon. Until then, take care. Peace.